The Gambian leader and entourage have landed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for a week-long official visit. Over 500,000 voters registered as of third week of the voter registration process. Elsewhere, after decades of legal fight, Egyptian judiciary is set to accommodate women judges. These and more coming on the news text. It's 2 o'clock in Banjul. This is the news text. And now the news in detail. The Gambian leader and First Lady with top government officials have earlier today landed at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for a 7-day official visit. President Barrow is expected to inaugurate the newly constructed Gambian embassy and ambassador's residence at the diplomatic quarters in Riyadh. More of this report.
The visit came following his attendance to the 59th ECOWAS summit in Accra for presidents and heads of government. The presidential visit to Saudi is also coming as pressure mounts on the West African state over the possibility of hosting the summit of Organization of Islamic Conference next year. Last year, the Saudi Kingdom took away the hosting of world Muslim leaders after Gambia failed to attain financial and material requirements for the event. The Saudi-Gambia relation has been top-notch for the past several years, even during the leadership of the former President Yahya Jammeh. With decades of diplomatic ties, the two countries have agreed to work together as sisters in different areas of cooperation. Saudi Arabia, being one of Gambia's constant donors, has recently signed an agreement to finance the second phase of a development project of the Banjul International Airport. The improved facilities will result in the creation of about 1,000 new jobs. The airport project is also expected to increase the number of passengers 43%, reaching 400,000 per year. For African News, Sohna Tunkara.
President Adama Barrow and entourage landed at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for a 7-day state visit. Now, the Operation Zero Crime West Coast Region Patrol Team has on Tuesday paraded a suspect with some stolen items at the Banjul Police Station. The suspect, who reportedly used a minor as an informant, was arrested with some suspected stolen items and is being charged with sub-breaking and stealing. More of that in this report by Binta Jallo.
On Tuesday, a suspect by the name Amadou Diallo was paraded by the West Coast Region Patrol Team at the Banjulunding Police Station. He is suspected to have stolen items from a shop that he has broken into. The items include perfumes, bags, chargers, some clothes and other valuables. The suspect was arrested with a bag of stolen properties, which he was subjected to a diligent investigation leading to the uncovering of a sub-breaking case. The police probe further discovered that he had hidden some other items at a bunker somewhere in his residence. The officers also intercepted 3 motorcycles, which are also suspected to be stolen properties, according to the public relations officer, Superintendent Njai. A 14-year-old was also arrested, and he is said to be an alleged criminal informant.
We have a young minor with us here. We will definitely not call the name or or show the person, but actually it's important for the public to know the reason why we are having this person. He has revealed to the police that he has been used by some adults, some criminal rings, to lay surveillance on people. What he does is sometimes he goes to the bank and observes people who withdraw a lot of cash from the bank, then he will follow them. If he knows where they have entered or the areas they have visited, then he will transmit this information to those gangs, and eventually they will find their way to that particular compound or location.
Superintendent Njai urged the general public to be vigilant.
The reason why we are saying this is for people to be vigilant at all times. If you find yourself in a bank, if you park your car, or if you are in your house and you see some innocent kid around you, you should be able to sympathize and empathize, but equally be very vigilant, because we may not know if he is one of those individuals.
The Commissioner of West Coast Region, Pate Jallow, said they are doing their best to save lives and properties, but hastened to call on the general public to assist the police in the execution of the Operation Zero Crime. Commissioner Jallow also highlighted some of their challenges.
On this Operation Zero Crime, and at the same time to help the police in protecting life and properties, to come forward with information and to make use of the numbers that have been displayed in the way that it is called for, because some calls sometimes are very unwarranted. You cannot be calling people overnight telling them certain issues which at the end of the day that can tantamount to discouraging the people or so forth, because at some point somebody did call that the person is been stabbed somewhere in Westfield when it is not true. So those are things, the challenges that we sometimes face. But as far as I am concerned and the police force is concerned, under the leadership of the Inspector General of Police, who is Ablai Sanyang, nothing can distract us and nothing can intimidate us. We will always work hand in glove with the other sister services to make sure everybody's life is protected. Thank you.
Lamin Jai called on the general public who might recognize the motorcycles to go to Banjulindin police station to help the police in the identification process. Since the launch of Operation Zero Crime, significant arrests have been registered by the Gambia police force. The operation, initiated by the Inspector General of Police, is meant to target criminal hubs within the Greater Banjul and the West Coast region. The objective of the move is to tackle crime and criminal activities within communities and to dismantle all criminal hideouts as well as prosecute offenders in accordance with the law. For iAfrica News, Binte Jallow.
The Gambia police force arrested a suspect who used a minor to commit criminal activities in the Gambia. Now, the Tunisian government has imposed a general lockdown on 4 regions of the country, following a surge in the number of coronavirus infections in the country. Tunisia registered more than 300,000 cases of the coronavirus and more than 14,000 deaths. With the latest figures, experts have called on the health authorities to speed up its vaccination process. We have more of that in this report.
The Prime Ministry announced that the regions of Qirwan, Siliana, Zarwan and Beja are targeted by the general lockdown. The Tunisian health minister described the situation as very dangerous in these governorates.
We have conducted an immunity screening survey. It shows that 30% of Tunisians have strong immunity to coronavirus. However, the study also shows that people's immunity in the 4 lockdown regions is inferior to the national level. This data partly explains the rapid spread of the virus in recent days.
Fawzi Mahdi warned that infectious disease specialists are seeing an increase in young Tunisians being hospitalized with more severe complications from COVID-19. The health minister explained that the 4th wave of the COVID-19 pandemic is infecting those under the age of 40 more, largely due to increased circulation of more transmissible variants.
We have also noticed that younger people are getting hospitalized as COVID variants spread. We are seeing younger, healthier people develop this disease. There are more critical cases and deaths. Unfortunately, the younger generation does not comply with the preventive measures and neglects the health protocol.
According to the COVID-19 task force, between 80 and 100 patients with the coronavirus are admitted to hospitals per day. Experts say Tunisia needs to speed up the vaccination campaign.
At the beginning of the vaccination campaign, we thought that people aged over 60 and living with chronic illnesses would react negatively and reject the vaccine. We were surprised by the positive reaction. Now we need to continue the campaign until the whole population is inoculated, immunized and protected.
Tunisian authorities will set up military field hospitals in lockdown cities to fight against the spread of COVID-19 and support the efforts of the medical and paramedical staff in these inner regions. According to the Union of Medics and Paramedics, the Tunisian health system in inner regions has reached its limit with the peak of the spread of the virus and deaths. Experts say the general lockdown in 4 cities is the last chance to curb the rate of infections.
Was general lockdown on 4 regions amid surge in the number of infections in the country. Now, the Independent Electoral Commission has on Tuesday gave public update on the number of registered voters after 3 weeks of registration campaign across the country. According to the latest update, 556,766 people have so far earned their tickets to stand as either candidates or voters. Of the number of registered voters, 317,993 are females and 238,773 males. Going by regional distribution, Birkamas remains ahead of the rest with 194,451, closely followed by Kanifing with 120,898 registered voters. To qualify for the registration card, one must produce any of the following documents such as birth certificate, national identity card, or Gambian passport. Without those documents, one will have to get an attestation of citizenship from a district chief or alcalde. The 2021 voter registration exercise began on the 29th of May and is expected to end by 11th July 2021. Now, from that latest update from the Independent Electoral Commission, we move on to Kenya because refugee athletes in Kenya are given a chance to compete in the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games. Earlier this month, the International Olympic Committee approved a list of 29 refugees who are set to compete under the Olympic flag. The selection of the refugee team for Tokyo was based on the athletes' sporting performance and their refugee status as confirmed by the UN Refugee Agency. Details of that in this report.
As dawn breaks over the Ngong Hills, nearly 30 kilometers from Nairobi, the hard work begins for these athletes. Many of them are refugees forced from their homes in countries like South Sudan and Burundi. 4 of them will join the expanded 29-man team to represent refugees at the Tokyo Olympics, which was announced earlier this month, offering them an opportunity to compete against the best on the world stage. The 4 athletes, all from South Sudan, have made a home here and now train under the tutelage of former world marathon record holder Tegla Lorupe, who was the team's chef de mission to Rio in 2016. She believes in these athletes giving back down the road.
They want to get knowledge that tomorrow they go home and bring this knowledge to their relative or to their countrymen. Because you go somewhere and those athletes, they know that these are displaced athletes. Now they are going to Tokyo, or now they went to Rio. But when they go back to their country, they are the youths who are fighting. And these youths, they will see them as a role model, and they can do more things. They will have peace.
Rose Lokonyen was the flag bearer for the initial team to the Rio Olympic Games in 2016. For her and her teammates, the chance to return is an incredible honor. She says that her passion for peace and the rights of refugees continues to spur her on, especially in the face of stigma and oppression.
In life, you don't have to lose hope because we're all human beings and no one chooses to be a refugee. A refugee is just a status whereby one day, one time you can change your status as well through talent, through education, because we have so many different things that you want to do in life.
Most of the athletes here were forced to return to Kakuma refugee camp during COVID-19 lockdowns, keeping them away from their trainers, which severely hampered their development. A situation known all too well to people who've been forced from their homes.
When they hear the word refugee, they say, oh, refugee, they're not a human being. So for me, I can say, no, refugee, they're human being like us. So he can talk, he can do something, can do anything like other people. So that's why I can say that for me, as a refugee, first of all, so for me to go and represent refugee in the world, so it's not something very easy. So for me, I just encourage to make other young talented people so that to follow our footsteps, because I need them also to be like me.
Actually, refugees is a human being whereby they have talents and they are human beings whom they know that they can do better. And we really appreciate that we get this chance. not just because of me alone. It's for all the refugees around the world or youth, you know, because there are so many of them who can do well, but just because they did not get this chance.
Before, nobody wanted to see that the refugees are good people. They always think that the stigma around the refugees is kind of like they are criminals, not knowing that anybody can be a refugee. When you have conflict in your area, you end up being also displaced. But when the athlete went to Rio, the nations and the NOCs saw that there is need to support their talents. And like Kenya, we've been supported by our country, our nation, security-wise. Our athletes are training with our Kenyan athletes, and that's solidarity.
Representing the nearly 80 million people worldwide forced from their homes, their preparations have been made that much harder by the coronavirus pandemic. But as they join the 25 other sportsmen and women competing under the Olympic flag at this year's Games, they'll be seeking to not only restore and highlight the dignity and talent of the refugee athlete, but do so while competing for Olympic gold.
We will now take a short break. Coming up, it's local and international news. Do stay tuned.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put in to constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is the News Desk with me, Jundenja Suare, now to the rest of our stories. During his yearly tour to military posts across the country, personnel of Nyongon military posts have lamented lack of water and electricity as a major hindrance to their daily duties to better serve the people of the surroundings. CDS Drame, however, told them that everything is determined by the availability of funds, but promised to provide water as soon as possible. More of that in this report.
The Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Yakuba Drame, was received by Commanding Officer of the Nyongon Military Base, Major Jenaba Sane, and the village community elders on Monday afternoon. Both the community and the military post in Nyongon village in the North Bank region of the country cried out to the military boss on the lack of electricity and scarcity of water to perform even a basic performance. During his previous visit to the camp, the CDS says he had made numerous follow-up calls to the company to look into the matter. CDS promised both the community of Nyongon and the military camp that they will have access to water as soon as possible.
Remember, everything is determined by the availability of funds. And that is why my interaction with you, usually, I'm not tempted to make unwarranted promises. I want to tell you what I can do. If I give you my word, be assured that will be done. Today I was told about water. Last year the water was not the problem. But I can give you my word, that would be solved. Within 1 month, I don't expect you to go and fetch water. I can give you my word.
Lieutenant General CDS Drame also discourages soldiers from taking part in political rallies or campaigns as officers of the armed forces. But he was quick to recognize that the men and women in uniform have the right to vote in any election as long as they are eligible.
As a fine institution like the military, we cannot afford to take part in politics. I've said it to you the last time, and I want to repeat myself today again. I will not partake in politics. If I cannot participate in politics, what would cause you to participate in politics? Let's stay away from politics. Let's not get ourselves involved in politics.
Tree planting exercise was also conducted by the army chief and other officials of his entourage. This is his second tour of military camps since he was appointed as Chief of Defense Staff to steer the affairs of the Gambia Armed Forces. Reporting for iAfrica News from Farafenni, I am Mariama Cham.
Joining us live from the tour is Mariama Cham, who is now with the entourage of the CDS in Basse, and he will give us live update of the happenings there. Mariama Cham, have you been with this? You have been with this CDS since Monday. Can you give us update on the tour and what is your current location?
Thank you so much, Julde. The tour is a yearly initiative by the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces to visit military deployments across the country, which is also in getting first-hand information about their living conditions, their challenges, and also their way forward of the armed forces. So you realize that this tour is very crucial to the army. Some of these deployment troops also get to meet with their boss in order to relay their concerns, like face-to-face with him. And also, like the CDS and his entourage is on the third day today, where he visited the military deployment in Barrow, Nyongon, Kerpate, Farafenni. And also other challenges raised by these soldiers include lack of water, electricity, and mobility for their patrol activities, especially in Nyongon and Kerpate military base. So the CDS also responded well to them by promising to look into each of the concerns raised by these troops, that he will get to solve their problems as soon as he gets to his office in Banjul.
So did he make any promises to these soldiers?
Yes, he did. I just mentioned that he said he will look into all their concerns as soon as he got to his office in Banjul.
Okay, we also have heard the CDS warning the soldiers not to partake in politics. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, the CDS strictly, I can emphasize on that strictly, what his men not to be, not to take part in any political activities as long as they are serving in uniform. Yeah, this he defended that it will disturb their credibility as an armed forces and also as a security agent. So, but he further reiterates that he cannot stop any of them from voting because that is their constitutional right. He even encourages them to get their voters card wherever they are, and on the day of the elections, let them just go and vote for any person that is that they like or that is their choice. But as long as they are serving as members of the armed forces, they should not partake in any political activities or campaigns.
Very well. We understand that you are currently in Basse. Where is your next stepping point?
Yeah, he spent the night at Janjambre, and earlier today he visited the Sambuja military post where he had a brief discussion with the troops. Then he later proceeded to Basse URR where he met with the governor and other sister security services. And as I'm speaking to you right now, the CDS is heading to Fatoto, and we just reached Fatoto where he's going to meet the troops and have discussion with the same discussions he had with other troops that we have visited on Monday, Tuesday, and earlier today in Sambuja and Basse.
We understand that most of the challenges raised by these soldiers is lack of water and electricity. How soon did the CDS said that he is going to tackle this promise made by him?
Yeah, for the Nyongon water crisis, he said they will have water in less than a month because those people normally travel afar with their gallons in order to get water because there is no water in that particular surrounding. Yeah, and also he said with regards to the electricity, he said he cannot do nothing about that, or he cannot do much about that because they have been making follow-ups to Nawek, but still now to no avail. But he said they will continue pushing with this institution in order for them to know where the problem is and how they can solve them to get proper electricity in that particular place.
Maria Macham, our reporter, is currently with the CDS and entourage on a yearly tour to meet the security personnel in the country. Thank you so very much for your time. Now we move on to another issue, because after decades of legal fight, Egyptian women are finally celebrating the attainment of their rightful places in the country's judicial system. 2 individuals or 2 independent judicial bodies will later this year accept women judges for the first time after years of resistance to women empowerment advocates. Despite the huge success, more is expected to be done in changing the societal narrative of women involvement in public decision-making processes. Details of that in this report.
Since 1949, Egyptian women have been in continuous legal battles to enter the judicial field. Throughout these decades, little successes have been made. Yet this year, Egypt is witnessing a quantum leap in gender equality after 2 judicial bodies announced that they will appoint women judges.
This was a fight for 72 years, and finally we got to the right state and to the right position, and applying the constitutional articles that there is no discrimination whatsoever in employability in judiciary bodies. And this is a breakthrough, and I think right now we have women in every single place and position in Egypt.
Starting October, the State Council, a judicial body concerned with governance cases, and the public prosecution will accept women judges. The 2 independent judicial bodies were the most resistant to the women empowerment movement. In 2010, 89% of the State Council judges refused to appoint women, citing contradiction with social norms and values.
Ideational change is the society themselves, the members of the society, the community. It's the ideational change paradigm shift. This is the major challenge. They have to get used to women in the decision-making position. They have to get used to women in parliament and high-level positions. And with this, we can say that the challenge is minimized, but still the challenge is the society.
To assist in changing the social narrative, Al-Azhar, the top Islamic teachings university, announced that Islam has no reservations against appointing women in judicial positions. In 2003, the Egyptian Constitutional Court first made an unprecedented move by appointing a woman on its board. Since then, women have been slowly but gradually pushing their way into the judicial authority. National statistics show that in 2015, Egypt had 80 women judges. That's out of 12,000 seats on the judicial authority. Allowing women in Egypt's top judicial bodies, however, comes with meticulous selection criteria. They must have an excellent bachelor degree record and at least 2 graduate diplomas in legal studies.
Egypt to appoint 2 women in the country's judicial system. Congratulations to them. Now with that, we have come to the end of the news text. But for more, join us in our subsequent news bulletins. Many thanks indeed for the pleasure of your company, and do have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Hello! There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell.
For all of you that have struggled to buy cash power beyond $7,000, AfriCell has done it again. The limit to buy cash power is now up to $30,000. Oh yes, $30,000.
Buy all the cash power you want from your AfriMoney account by dialing *777#.
Where